Welcome to the Wunderman Thompson podcast dedicated to PMI. Today we introduce 10 PMI key data and we invite you to explore them together. We consider these data as good conversation starters to inspire PMI's future growth. So let's get started.
5, as in February 5th, 2021. That sounds like yesterday to me. That's the day that our joint collaboration, story, partnership, Wunderman, Thompson and PMI began. I remember it like yesterday because, in fact, it was a briefing or a set of briefings that fell from the sky for us. And there were interesting conversations going on with PMI leadership at that time and Wunderman Thompson leadership in EMEA, looking for a good home and a mother and a father to take up these really challenging quests for the PMI organization. One of them being bringing DA, disciplined agile, into this agile space, a new kind of product in a new kind of setup, in a new kind of value proposition, and get that out into the market. That was one challenge. The other challenge was, how do we truly grasp a global organization set up for marketing? How do we make sure that we get central ideas, central products, central steering, but get it into the regions and the local markets that have their specifics every time? At that time, not only these two briefs were completely new to the organization of PMI, but also to Wunderman Thompson. But on the other hand, there was, of course, not a team of 10 people standing by and doing nothing. So myself, Vincent and Biliana stood there and just took up the challenge. And we started working on these two streams. We scoped them out in 1 week, started working on them. And you could say afterwards we did everything but these two streams. We evolved from 2 ad hoc briefings into 10 what we call big boat projects, from new PMP value propositions to membership work, to conference work, to sales enablement structures, to DASM nurture flows, and really moved into 2 ad hoc briefings and evolved into 10 big boat projects, 12 speedboat projects, and 5 global always-on work streams. Really ramping up also not only the team from PMI side, but also ramping up our own team and moving from 3 people that were really foundational to this relationship, moving into 16 people team that are really PMI veterans in only 12 months. Zero. That's a round number. That's exactly the number that stands for the number of projects we delivered after 3 months. No assets, no campaigns. 0 assets, but priceless insight. The main realization from these 2 starter projects was a bunch of issues. To know which issues were out there and the challenges that were really there. DA was just not go-to-market ready. B2B is a non-existent practice at that moment at PMI. And there was a historical, single product-led inside-out approach, with no view nor focus on understanding the needs and wants of target audiences. So after these 3 months, we delivered no assets, but we had these 3 pivotal insights. 1, we needed to solve these. Solve the fact that we were missing data and insights in the target audiences. Not only in the target audiences today, but also in the market evolutions around that. Secondly, at that moment, there was no measurement or infrastructure tooling to run effective campaigns on a global scale. So pushing out assets would have no use at all because we were not able to measure success and adapt. And thirdly, if we really want to make steps forward, we should have a decision process that involves regions when needed and steers the global creative process when possible. And also there, the decision governance was lacking. This was all solved in 2 foundational initiatives. First of all, the global audience research and the forthcoming development based upon that of PMI's own persona framework, the 7 personas, that would help us in a tangible way to understand and adapt to the needs and wants of our growth audiences. And secondly, this whole media measurement, targeting, campaigning, we developed a working in which we could call the PMI Media Studio to really grasp the understandings, but also combine the tools, the measurement, and the day-to-day management of all our campaigns. So, zero assets, but priceless insight.
Seven. Lucky number 7. From the start of our collaboration, we learned a lot of things. And we also learned about the information that we were missing to take the next steps. One of those insights was about the audience. We lacked insights on the audience. We need to understand better how they want to proceed their career, what their jobs to be done are. So one of the things that we did is persona research. We did qualitative and quantitative research, and that gave us data inputs on their ambitions, their concerns, their needs, what's making them tick, what's their perception on PMI, what are their preferred learning resources, and what's their general attitude to learning. We created a global aggregated view to understand the commonalities, but we also focused on the regional differences to make sure that we have those deeper local insights. Our big ambition from the start has always been to develop actionable insights, because ultimately it is supposed to drive marketing activities. And for them to be impactful, we need to understand what is making our audience tick. And we learned from their jobs to be done is that it's ranging from fear to ambitions. We learned about their fears, about how they are concerned about staying relevant, how they want to try and avoid to become obsolete. They're worried about getting fired. But we also learned about their aspirations, how they want to be leading transformations in their organization through uncertain times. They want to focus on being recognized as a PM expert, how they can grow their skill sets and how they can grow their responsibilities. But also, very important, especially in economically challenging moments, how to grow their salary accordingly. All those insights are helping us to now develop content, to develop assets, to develop marketing activities, to land PMI's message with their audience, to make sure that what we do, what we tell them, that it is relevant for them, that it is making them do their job. And in doing that, we help PMI grow.
So 55. Now 55 really shows a bit what we've learned in the very first months working for PMI. I think one of the key insights we've gotten is that even long-standing PMI audiences, like for instance the PM pros, the PMO leaders, still really show a significant gap of brand awareness, fundamental brand awareness. Even aided brand awareness is still in those core audience, PM pros, PMO leaders. Globally, it's just only 55%. That was for us really striking. That means fundamentally whatever campaigning that we would be developing, in the end, 45% would be wasted. Now, we thought maybe it's better in certain regions. There may be differences. If you look at North America, it's still only 57%. Europe is even down to 36 to 40. APAC, it's 60 to 67%, which is okay. This is still only aided. It's not spontaneous. It's not top of mind. Now, if you look at brand awareness in isolation, what we've seen is that brand awareness and thought leadership, anything that PMI so far has been doing, really remained disconnected from end-to-end PM exploration and product relevance journeys. So people are not pulled in to a funnel based on the same messages in brand awareness as they would be seeing later on in the journey. We see that, for instance, at Make Reality. Make Reality is creatively, visually, really attractive. It was not really supported, first of all, not beyond North America, but actually the messaging used in Make Reality was not used down the funnel there. The same with thought leadership content. Thought leadership content is really disconnected from marketing messages, which shouldn't be, actually. So I think a fundamental thing to be fixed is really to have audience-relevant content across brand, comms, and marketing. Three reasons why the PMP is losing its luster. Now, we know this is on your mind. We know this is really something you're looking for. So we see three fundamental reasons. Number one, audiences are really unforgiving today. What we see is Agile has become the default way of working in any industry. And we all know PMP was really late, and the gold standard was really very late to adjusting to Agile, which obviously still impacts your perception. PMI's perception, but even the perception of the profession in general. Number two, new audiences really are seeking skills over search today. It's an economic reality they live in, but also there's a massive talent demand, meaning employers will just look for skills, not really for search in the first place. Number three, it's fundamentally about customer experience. What we see is that today's learning is as much customer experience as learning the content. The main evolution we've seen there is the global education platforms that are really setting a new standard in customer experience. And reality is that any prospects for PMI will be exploring project management skills on those platforms. So this is real competition, and it's a real benchmark for a lot of people. So how do we get out of that? So how do we win back young audiences fundamentally? One is to be accelerating the flywheel and be really acting like an Agile community. That would mean that you start outside in innovation, being adaptive to what's happening in the market today, being iterative as well, and being like, instead of doing major overhauls of your product every 5 years, now do like small iterations of adjustments of your product every few months maybe. And that really would be increasing the speed of innovation of your PMP standards. That would allow you to demonstrate the speed of innovation in the PMP Annual Innovation Summit. So think Apple. The way they introduce the new iPhone, well, you could be introducing the new PMP every 18 months. Thirteen percent is the estimated PMI share of the 2021 market. If that's the case, actually, if it's really 13%, we might say that PMI is not really getting a fair share of the rapidly growing market, a growing market to meet global demand for project managers. Now, if you look at the numbers, we know today in market installed base, there's more or less like 90 million what we call project management oriented employees. Now, the growth that's been predicted, by the way, by the PMI Talent Gap 21 report, is that there will be another 25 million added to that. I mean, 25 million added up to 2030, that's more or less 2.3 million annual new job openings for project management-oriented people. Even where PMI is showing like a solid growth, still 300,000 PMP holders added, that's an impressive number. We may not get a fair share of the growing market. As a conclusion, I think PMI really needs to look for scalability. Scalability will define success in a rapidly growing market. Availability is key. Global, instant, seamless experience at scale, that's what PMI needs to deliver.
The number 92. When we look at PMI's all-up investment on LinkedIn, think about your basic customer journey funnel. 92% of the budget has been going into consideration, 8% into conversion, and 0% into awareness. That can't be right, can it? I'm afraid it has been our reality for 2021. So there's work to do. We struck a partnership with LinkedIn to do a deep dive into PMI's activities on the platform, and we got some eye-openers. We can't expect our audience to accept our marriage proposal without allowing them to get to know us first, to build a relationship, to get them to trust us. So opportunity number one is clear. We need to build a solid funnel experience for our audience. We learned that PMI is mostly targeting PM specialists, basically people that know us already. It's a rather conservative approach, while we see that our competitors target much more diverse roles, resulting in PMI being shoved into a corner. So opportunity number two will be about reviewing our targeting, test and trial to unlock what we all love to call that big blue ocean. We also uncovered significant fragmentation. Over 750 individual campaigns have been run on LinkedIn, all with kind of the same but slightly different messages and broken customer journeys, all exclusively in the consideration and conversion phase. So opportunity number 3, it's about the money. We need to drive budget efficiencies, and we will increase our impact by doing more with less. Our ultimate ambition for this year is clear. By optimizing our campaigns, by building a proper full funnel experience, and avoid having niche audiences being overexposed to the same but slightly different message, we will cut our cost per acquisition significantly.
Only 20% of all the people taking the PMP exam in 2021 find their training with authorized training partners. This 20% is remarkable, basically, since PMI surveys really state that 90% prefer and have a clear preference for authorized training partners, meaning those partners that use the vetted PMI product. So PMI's customers look for ATPs, yet, for some reason, they struggle to find them, or in the end decide against them and choose for a non-authorized training partner. Now, there are 2 things we learn from this 20%. 1, there's clearly an unfulfilled customer demand for PMI training product. Even if we would generate more demand, we do not have the channels to fulfill at scale. 2, today's learner asks time efficiency, flexibility, digital-first learning, and fundamentally value for money that helps them pass the PMP exam. And for some reason, they find that more with non-authorized training partners. So there's a key task here for PMI to be harnessing the ATP program, to be responding to today's learners' needs, and fundamentally building that to a global scale.
$220 million learners enrolled into global education platforms. That's impressive, and that holds a huge opportunity. When this extensive audience is researching their new learning opportunity, PMI is inevitably put into fierce competition with big global learning platforms. We need to think about Coursera, Skillshare, LinkedIn Learning, Udacity, Udemy, those types of guys. You know them. And those global players have outstanding search performance. For reference, Coursera alone grew with over 20 million new learners in 2021 alone. That is massive. And the task for PMI is simple, but challenging, incredibly challenging at the same time. What we need to do is to claim our place in this space. We need to make sure PMI is present, that the audience can actually find us. And we need to think about how we can drive this scale. What will PMI's strategy be when thinking about global learning platforms? It will be key in unlocking future and long-term growth for PMI.
Two, in the long run, 2 digital business strategies have to be built out. Yes, 2, simultaneously. Because together they are key to successful BCM impact. Both of them are wicked problems, so we need to explore both in parallel and in the long run probably centerpiece one of them. What am I talking about? Well, it is about one strategy on one hand, which is product-led, and the other strategy, which is platform-led. Both of them are super viable and only powerful when combined. The product-led business strategy is all about the core of PMI around certification and learning products. The opportunities we need to explore there and get into is how we can leverage the product portfolio and really ramp up on credibility and also on leadership. We must state out there that our core products are those leading the way. And take that into partnerships. Partnerships with edtech platforms for speed and scale to market. get our products out there faster, sooner, better. And this will be regionally led mainly, because regionally the different partners will vary and also the current situation in market will be different. The challenge there is how can we uphold PMI's brand value and our product leaderships on these edtech platforms? Will those brands not take over from us? Mainly. So, the main challenge here is how can we uphold PMI's brand value and product leadership when going into platforms that are not ours? Secondly, and next to that, there's the platform-led business strategy, where not the products and certifications that are central, but membership is central. We need to explore membership and build it out. We need to build out the membership platform with product add-ons and more valuable content to really also own the customer relationship and the experience, more personalized, more direct, and more agile. To really also show that the brand value is not only the product, but also within the community and the interactions we create there. This should be not regionally led, like the product-led business strategy, but is something that is very centrally led for economies of scale, speed, and also vision. The question there is, can we match a customer experience of the Courseras of this world? If we have our own membership environment, how does this ramp up and get into a competition field where Coursera leads the way? So, the questions to these both strategies are, what are our singular key asset, resources, and partners that can help us build out these both business models? What are the financial outcomes and investment that we need to make in both of them on the long run? How can we then prioritize? Can we do it together, one first, then second, or do we need to choose first and then move there? These two strategies together, finding them out, exploring them, learning from them, implementing improvements on both ends, together will make success for BCM Impact.